So, yeah.
Well, speaking of the Knicks, tonight we're going to talk about what is the MFN point. What I mean by that is we do what we do what we love, and we keep on doing it even if we fail or win or, do nothing at all. We still keep doing. And just want to, now that we're at the end of the season, we've completed our goal. We've hit the end of the line. I don't know about success or failure yet, because podcasts, once you put them out, they have to float for a little while and gain traction. So I'm excited to see what happens with the season we just did. I'm excited to see what happens with the season that we're going to do next. But stuck right here in the middle of the beginning, why do we keep doing it? Why are we here? What's going on? So that's pretty much what I wanted to wrap the season up with tonight.
Okay. So why do you keep going?
It's something new, I think, was the drive for me in the beginning, because, I got into podcasts during the pandemic. I knew that they existed. People had talked about them before. But just sitting at home with nothing to do, actually, and trying to come up with something to get through the day. You get tired of the same music over and over and over again. Anybody that listens to the radio is tired of the same song by the end of the day, and so just looking for something new, got into podcasts, found some that I really love. And I remember I talked to a couple buddies that I knew also listened to podcasts, and some of them have gone on to do their own, and some of them just continue to listen. And then you called me one day and was like, yo, I'm talking about doing a podcast. What do you think? And I'm, oh my God, I was just thinking about talking to you about doing a podcast. And, so it was something creative to dive into and explore. And there was a lot of production skills that were involved, because instead of like most people do, just starting out with audio, you and I have to swing for the fences and go for audio and video, and, merchandise. Like, we came up with all kinds of stuff, and so it was exciting. It was fun. It was fueling the fire, and here we are.
Yeah.
What about you? What'd you want to do this for?
It was more so just trying to find something, like I said, while we come up with our next thing. And really, I underestimated podcasting. I really did. I was never really into them. You've seen some, and you see clips here and there, you hear clips here and there, but it wasn't anything that just really piqued my interest. But when we didn't really have the one thing that was keeping us busy, I was like, well, if we stay busy with something, maybe the work will come through. And so I was like, okay. And Quase, he mentioned to me a few times, man, we should do a podcast and just talk about life. And at first I was like, and then I think you mentioned Joe Rogan and his podcast. This is what really piqued my interest in it. And I went and checked, because I like Joe Rogan a lot. So, and you was like, he has the greatest podcast. And I'm like, really? So when I checked him out, just the way that it was set up, I was like, okay. And I listened to a few of them. And then I was like, now, how can we make this work for us? And then it hit me about the indie artist. And then that's when I was like, okay, maybe we should. But I also had in the back of my mind too, that it ain't gonna be a big deal. It's just something we can do, get together once a week and do, you know what I mean? So, while we're, pinky and the brain in it, we can do this to kind of pass the time.
Right.
And man, like, we started in like March of 2021, and we didn't put out our first one until October
Right.
So, it was a bigger take on than I had suspected.
Yep.
So I wasn't really prepared for, like, even after we put it out, I wasn't prepared for, I didn't have a strategy of what we were going to do once we put it out. I figured we go organic and see what happens, but I didn't really have a solid plan. Not like when we're about to execute a record or something along those lines. I got, okay, we put out child support. I had a whole strategy on how I wanted that to roll out and what I wanted child support to be. With this, because I had no real knowledge. So it's like it's 1989 again for me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm back into something like is untreaded territory. So it's a little scary in one, but exciting all at the same time. And then the pressure, like you said, to us we with the overkill and shit. You know what I mean? We got to go big or go home. That in itself too has been like a huge take on as well.
Yep.
I did not want to let you down in this thing. I didn't want you to think that I was being overwhelmed over here. So I'm trying to keep up. And at the same time, I'm like, Lord have mercy, man. This is like, word, but never let them see you sweat. And through it all, we were still able to put them out week after week after week after week after week. And nobody saw me sweating behind the scenes whatsoever.
Not me, man. I was sweating like crazy. The biggest thing for me has been being in front of the camera.
Really?
Like, that's not my job ever.
Right.
I tried it once, figured out it wasn't for me, never got back in front of it again. And so to be on these podcasts, like I think I've talked about before, is when I'm going through the edits and creating the episode, like I see myself, and I love the way that we have the cutting set up so that it cuts back and forth between the both of us, but I'd be cool if it just stayed on you the whole time. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to pretend my camera doesn't work today and see if we get through the episode.
Well, I have a little experience of being in front of the camera, so I don't mind it so much. But I also, that's about 70% of the reason why I asked you to do it too, was because you always stayed behind the camera. I just really wanted to introduce you to my people. You know what I mean? That really was what it was, man. That just like, this is the guy that I've been rocking with for a long time, and that whole business. And I knew you'd have some shit to say, so why not?
Oh, I always got shit to say. I'm like that guy that if no one has anything to say, just ask me a stupid ass question and I'll talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Is it silent in here? I got you. Will anything I say matter? No.
Does it need to? Not really.
Hopefully you'll forget it anyway.